It's been nearly 10 years, almost an entire decade, since I was in high school coming up with the ground foundation, or just foundation rather, of what was supposed to be a comic book series. This comic book series was supposed to completely spoof and make fun of classic and common RPG tropes and throw in a splash of anime here and there, and various tropes. From this initial idea stemmed characters, world building, history, chronology, a whole separate multiverse of other universes and worlds and stories that I had come up with, and this eventually stemmed off into its own actual written out story that has only a few chapters written out on some random website that I no longer use, unfortunately. From this story, I eventually came up with an RPG, an actual game that is very much unfinished and still hasn't even hit the demo stage at this point, and it's an RPG Maker VX Ace engine RPG game that still sits on my computer and in a thumb drive for a backup. Now, why am I opening up the video talking about this nonsense? What relevance does this have to the video, whatever that I may have named it at this point? Obviously, there's some sort of a link as to why I would bring it up, and that's simply because this project of mine hasn't really seen too much work recently, despite the fact that I am extraordinarily and extremely passionate about it. Therefore, why wouldn't I have done something by this point? It's been almost a decade, and I still have nothing to really show for it other than a few quick chapters that are written on Writer's Cafe somewhere in the fucking ether. As time passes, I slowly seem to lose my motivation for doing things, but there's always still something that brings me back eventually before it fades off again. And I want to make sure that I actually invest time in this, because this is something that is just plain and simply really important to me, and I can't really explain to you why that is. RPGs have been a really important getaway and escapism for my life for a long time. Tabletop RPG games and RPGs as a whole just are really important, and I've brought this up several times over many videos since I had started this channel. And I want to make sure that I actually do something with this. The eventual goal of this project, which originally was named Tempest, it is now called Into Eon. The name originates because Eon is the name of the multiverse that it comes from, where I basically write all of these stories. But digressing from that, the end goal is to eventually make an RPG game later on down the line that breaks a lot of the classic tropes and problems that you see in MMOs and RPG games alike in today's day and age. This may be nothing more than just a simple pipe dream, even to myself, but it would be amazing if this were something that I were to fulfill later on down the line. Due to my general outlook on how game development is, especially today, where a lot of things are based around profits and money, and it dilutes up the gaming market with a lot of problems and such that go into developing a game, this may only be a simple indie title, even if it's a very well-budgeted indie title when it actually comes to fruition. But either way, I still want to do something with it. Like I said, at the very least be able to come up with an RPG Maker game or a story. I want to make sure that this story is something that I can share with other people and geek out over and receive feedback for in the future at the very least. I figured about a week or two ago that one of the best ways that I could approach this and to be able to talk about it is to do a form of free association about my RPG or about the story itself and talk about different aspects of it. I wanted to do this a long time ago on a sub-channel that I made called The Silent Sanctuary. I designed this specifically for everything that I do artistically. That completely doesn't include music, that is. Music is on another one called The Music Foundry, but anyway, I wanted to talk about the many stories that I come up with so that I can actually publish them, and honestly, story writing is something that I am very much invested in. I really love fantasy writing and anything of that sort. I'm not really a big non-fiction-y guy, but when it comes to handling stories and just the backgrounds and plots and I can't get the wording properly here, but like I guess trying to make a person that is not real seem real, in that you put the work into their character, what makes them them. This is the reasoning why I love To the Moon and Finding Paradise so much, is because the characters, when you go through all of their memories and you experience their life, their stories, and they go into that much depth to create this artificial person with dreams and aspirations, it makes them feel very organic and real. This person existed somewhere in the world at one point, or is existing currently, if you get what my point is here. It's just a very interesting thing, at least it is to me. So we're going to go ahead and explore this idea of mine in this series. It's going to be multiple series of this specific free association thing that I want to do. One of the main ones is going to be talking about what I feel are many problems that plague RPGs, especially RPG MMOs, in this day and age. For example, two topics that I want to definitely get into is what I will deem the terms power creeping and redundancy, something that you see that plagues many MMORPGs, which, for example, let's just say that you have like a patch in a new RPG game that creates a new set of armor, and it basically makes the previous set completely pointless because you can just steamroll the previous content that was the hardest thing in the game with this new set, and you don't even need to really care about the mechanics in the run anymore because you're just that much stronger because your numbers are bigger. These are one of the many problems in RPGs in this day and age. Another series that I will be going into is more centralized around my story itself. This one may very well just go on to the Silent Sanctuary. That's going to be a very boring one that goes into a lot of specific details. So if you guys are interested in that one, just let me know. By all means, if you've gotten this far into the video, just let me know what you feel about this idea as it goes forward now in this video. Whatever the case is, just let me know what your actual thoughts are on it, because how I go forward will be very dependent on the feedback that I receive for it. Anything at all hopefully it's like constructive, but anything at all will help to how I'll structure things later on down the line. And then like the third series that I want to do with this is talking about my RPG and how I'm going to design it around, like, to basically theory crafting to get around the many different things and the mindsets that you need when coming up with an RPG. This one's going to be a lot more informative and to help people, especially with the RPG Maker engine, come up with their own RPGs, and again, more getting into the mindset of creating an RPG and creating the world and the plot and the characters, rather than an actual tutorial in RPG Maker VX Ace. You guys feel me? I hope you feel me here. Not literally, that came out incredibly wrong. We're going to skip over that entirely. So, this is just going to end the video right here, guys. I want this to be short and sweet because the next one is going to actually be the free association part. And I'm going to start immediately with the series that is all about RPGs and their problems. I have no idea what I'm going to name this series, so I'm going to have to figure that one out after this recording. Take it easy, guys, and I will see you in the next one.